The people that are here, we got a bunch of people on the webinar right now. Chat in for me. Have you tried inside sales agents? Have you tried hiring somebody to work your leads or follow up with your prospects or work your database or book appointments or anything like that? Chat it in for me while my tea water is heating up. Kashif, yes. Okay. What was the result? How did that go? Let's see. Yes, ISA needed more training. Yep. Julio, try to service out of Central America, not a dedicated team, but a call center. Okay, got it. Well, it looks like Singh, Mr. Miss Singh, Kashif, and Julio are the only people here today. Are they the only people here today? Chat in for me. If you want me to teach you stuff, you're going to have to interact with me. Well, I'm going to get started. You better find where the chat button is so that you guys can chat with me. Drew just got here. Hey, Drew, have you tried ISAs or VAs to work your leads or book appointments or anything like that in the past? No. Okay, got it. Good. Well, thank you for answering, Drew. Let's get started today, everybody. And I'm going to have you do some more interaction with me today as I'm teaching you stuff. Jason, no. Okay, got it. Interesting. Well, here's where this information today comes from. I'm going to be teaching you how to hire your first profitable ISA. I'm actually going to be teaching you a lot more than that stuff because there's a lot more to know, but it's an easy title for me to use. Where this information comes from, my team and I produced over $4 million in GCI each year, running a real estate team of over 30 agents, and we did over 650 transactions for multiple years in a row. That's what my experience is. My name is Dale Archdekin. I'm the founder of Smart Sales Coaching, if you don't know who I am. Within that team, I built and optimized an inside sales department. What that is people that we paid to come in and work full-time, work our leads, follow our scripting and training and messaging processes, our lead follow-up process, and they were able to produce 36 to 60 transactions per ISA in their first 12 months with an average mix of leads. Me personally, before I even did all of that, I was in production and got to the point where I was on average taking 5 to 7 listings every single month from cold outbound prospecting for sale by owners, expired listings, for rent by owners, circle prospecting, etc. So that's where this information today is coming from. And now we have, I have a sales training company that I founded. We've been in business for 10 years now, teaching other agents, inside sales agents, teams, brokerages, how to convert their paid leads at a high level. So we asked over 4,000 agents in our database. We did a poll. We said, hey, what's holding you back from setting more weekly appointments? And these were their answers. They were struggling with these. Overwhelmingly, these were the top answers that we got back. Leads don't respond, don't know what to say to the leads. They can't overcome objections, not enough leads. Leads aren't good. They don't know who to contact, like who to prioritize. The agent said they also struggled with a lack of motivation, fear of rejection, or not enough time to work their leads, and trouble staying on track. Do any of you struggle with any of those things around converting your leads, getting more appointments with your leads? Yes or no? Chat it in for me. Yes. Okay, good. Okay, excellent. Got it. So if those are the things that you struggle with, I am going to be teaching you how to hire an ISA today. I'm going to be teaching you the difference between a VA and an ISA and how to use them. But before I get to that, I do want to tell you that we have a 3-day unscripted masterclass that's coming up October 27, 28, and 29. And if you're struggling with any of these bullet points here, you're going to want to come to this unscripted masterclass, because I'm going to be teaching you expert sales scripting and dialogue, right? I'm going to be teaching you expert sales dialogue, words, phrases, how to get into conversations with your leads, how to handle objections, how to articulate your value proposition, and how to close for appointments in a very strong, confident way. I'm also going to be teaching you the better messaging, how to text and email and DM these leads so that they'll actually respond to you, because a lot of people struggle with getting them to respond. I'm also going to be talking about the systems, processes, approach, and the mindset to increase your lead flow and increase your lead conversion. So the unscripted masterclass is the 27th, 28th, and 29th. It's 2 hours per day live on Zoom with me. It's $97 for general admission, and you can get the slides and the recordings if you aren't sure that you can make it all 3 days, or if you want them to be able to review and go back to, you can get the slides for $47. And here's where you can go sign up for that right now. Scan the QR code or use the link. I'm telling you about this now so that you don't have to wait all the way to the end. And you don't have to be wondering, why is Dale teaching me this stuff for free? I'm teaching you this stuff for free because I know that I can't give you everything that you need in the next 40 minutes, but I'm going to do my best to give you information that you came here to get. And I know that you need more, so I'm telling you about the masterclass that's coming up October 27th. So go check it out, sign up there. I'll talk more about the details at the end of this if we have time left. Is that good? Chat in if that's good, everybody. Okay, good. Chat in for me. Why are you here? Why are you here? What do you want to learn? Write it in for me. What do you want to learn in today's session? Because I'm going to make sure that whatever you write in, I'm going to try to cover it for you if I can answer those questions. So write it in. What are you looking to learn? And if you're like, you can write, I don't know. If literally you were like, this sounded like an interesting topic, I know nothing about it, I want to learn more about whatever you're going to teach me, just write in, I don't know. But if you have something specific you're looking to learn today, chat that in. Improve the performance of ISA, need better conversion. Okay, great. I need to make my own team in the next 3 months. Okay. Want someone who will make outbound calls for me. I'm driving. Can you email me the link? Info Jay. Yes, Jay, we will send you the link for the masterclass. Adrian, to know what to look for in an ISA. Excellent. Vishay has 3 more agents ready to jump in. Hold on, let me look at what Vishay wrote. Vishay said, need to make my own team in the next 3 months. Okay, and you have agents looking to join your team. Okay. Vishay, I'm gonna try to drop in a little bit of advice about forming your own team. Ready to scale. Julio said, ready to scale, have had personal success with PPC, want a roadmap for an ISA. Ooh, there we go. That sounds like a good one. Okay, good. That's all good information. Which is crazy, is I didn't get any, I don't know. Good. And keep writing in for any of you that haven't answered. If you are here to get something posted in here, I'd love to see it. And what's interesting is the other people here are probably learning from your post or from your chat or identify with it too, which is great. Okay, so let me clarify some terms. Fitzroy needs to learn from the beginning. Okay, great. Let me give you guys some terms first, okay? I said how to hire your first profitable ISA, and I want to make a very clear distinction. So first of all, we have VAs and we have ISAs, okay? A VA is a virtual assistant, and it is a primarily administrative or clerical role, right? They are checking boxes. They are doing admin tasks. They are making sure that your processes work. They are following operating procedures, right? They're following processes, but they are not selling. Generally speaking, VAs, virtual assistants, from wherever they are, should not be selling. They should not be interacting with your sales leads. They should not be persuading people or convincing people or trying to change people's minds. And so as a result, that position does not need sales talent or experience, and language skills are not as critical, okay? Which means that you can hire people from anywhere, pretty much, from the US, from North and South America, from Southeast Asia, wherever you want to hire them from. And you can get some great hires for not very expensive. We're all familiar with that. And let me clarify then, ISA. An ISA is an inside sales agent, and this is not just a term for real estate. Actually, the term or the role of an inside sales agent or appointment setter is something that exists in most other industries. It's just that recently it's been more and more popular in the real estate industry. Inside sales agents, their primary role is direct sales contacts with leads, database, past clients. It is 100% sales role. You absolutely need a high degree of sales experience, and sales language mastery is required. Language mastery. And this is going to be a theme that's going to come up a couple of times here. The majority of us, I want you to chat in for me. What is the primary language of the majority of the leads that you currently work in your world, in your market? Chat in for me. For most of you, it's probably going to be English. Okay. Yeah, I got a lot of English popping up. And Punjabi. Excellent. Urdu, pretty cool. Yep. Okay, good. Now, whatever the I'm gonna say this a couple of times. If the person that you hire is going to be conducting a sales role, interacting with consumers for the purposes of persuading or convincing or getting them to take an action or make a decision, you need somebody who has a mastery in their primary language. Okay? Mastery. That's not just the words, but that's also the contextual understanding of what things mean and what somebody means with their words and with nuance around language. It takes a high degree of language skill to be a good salesperson. So I just want to make that super clear. Okay, so these are the terms, VA versus ISA. You can think of it this way. VAs are admins, and admins typically don't make good salespeople. ISAs are salespeople and typically don't make very good admins. All right, so let's talk about different roles. And I'm going to go from the easiest role and probably the cheapest role to fill with the least amount of sales requirement or any at all, up to the highest, the most difficult, the most expensive, and the hardest to find. So database manager, this is the most basic. They manage leads, they keep the database clean, they make sure that all leads are on appropriate messaging campaigns that are already pre-written, that are written by you or by whatever platform you're using. They can execute simple messaging plans, meaning that they can send out pre-formatted text messages, they can send out pre-formatted emails, DMs, whatever it may be, but they are not going to be interacting with anybody via voice or video, and ideally not interacting in real time on text or emails or anything like that, if that makes sense. They can alert an agent to inquiries or activities or the need for sales intervention, but they're not going to be doing it themselves. This is solidly a virtual assistant role. This is perfectly describes a virtual assistant, which, as we already showed you, they do not need sales experience or sales capability, right? And the language requirements are not as high. Now we're going to move on to a lead scrubber. So the difference with a lead scrubber is that they are not just managing the database. They aren't just a functional admin. They are doing a little bit more, where they are working leads using, ideally, again, written pre-formatted text and email messaging in order to get a response. And the primary role of a lead scrubber is just to see, this especially comes up if, for instance, you are buying lists of homeowners or lists of people, or you are buying internet leads to a large degree. Or let's say you're working something like a Z buyer, where you have a lot of leads who have questionable intent or even questionable contact info. The lead scrubber is really kind of clearing out people that have bad contact info, looking for people who will respond or will answer their phones, but your lead scrubber is not really taking it any farther than that. They're not doing discovery, they're not booking appointments, they're not doing any of that kind of stuff. They're just cleaning up the leads. It's kind of like a primary pass as a salesperson, or really kind of a salesperson's assistant, really, because the lead scrubber's not doing anything that would require a high degree of sales skills. So this can be your VA. And if they're going to call, you want as good of English as you can get. And if the person, the lead scrubber, is not a native English speaker, you want their script to be very, very simple. Very simple. Okay. So that can be a VA or an ISA. And we'll talk about costs of VAs and ISAs in a little bit here. Let's talk about an appointment setter. Is anybody here a team leader? Anybody here currently a team leader where you have, more than 3 agents on your team and you're buying leads? Anybody here? Drew. Okay. So Drew, this could potentially apply to you for appointment setters. The appointment setter is going to do outreach, call, text, email, DM, attempt to get in touch with leads for the purpose of booking a conversation with a salesperson or even a video consultation with a salesperson. The agents, the appointment setter is the one who books the appointment, but the agent is the one that does all of conducts the meeting, convinces them to, so, you could look at it this way. The appointment setter will basically get a lead to have a phone call with a real estate sales professional. And then that agent that conducts that phone call or even video to video then is going to take it the next step to get a buyer consultation booked, to get a showing booked, to get a listing appointment booked, whatever it may be. So you're kind of separating, because the next level is a full sales cycle ISA, or an ISA for short. The ISA does the full work where they take the leads, get them into a conversation, do discovery, book appointments, buyer consultations, buyer showings, listing appointments for the agents. The only difference here is that the appointment setter doesn't do as much nurturing. The nurturing is still on the agent. The booking of the actual appointment is still on the agent. The appointment setter is just teeing up the conversation or the initial interaction with your salesperson. So the appointment setters and or ISAs, the difference there is that the ISA owns the lead from cradle to grave, right? So for appointment setters, that is going to be an ISA and not a VA, okay? VAs are not appointment setters. And then when we go to full sales cycle ISA, like I said, they own the lead from the full journey of that lead. And in some cases, even your ISAs are going to be helping the agents or still interacting with the prospect, the lead, even after they are actively shopping for homes, or even after they are actively listed, or even after the buyer is in contract. You're still going to have ISAs like touching them, talking to them, seeing how they're doing, because that ISA is then going to come back around and ask for referrals afterwards. So you can think about it this way. Your full sales cycle ISA is a real estate agent, and all we do is we remove a couple of parts of the job for the real estate agent, which is the ISA isn't searching for homes. The ISA is not showing homes. The ISA is not conducting buyer consults or listing appointments. That's pretty much the only thing they're doing. And then, of course, the ISA is not involved in anything once the prospect goes under contract. So obviously the ISA is not negotiating inspections, not negotiating offers or writing offers or anything like that. Those tasks belong to the agent, but everything else with your ISA, from the very beginning that lead gets created until that lead goes and meets with the agent, and then even after the ISA meets with the lead meets with the agent, if the agent doesn't capture that lead, get them signed as an active buyer or signed as a listing, It will go back to the ISAs to continue being nurtured until they are ready to purchase or are ready to list. Does all this make sense so far, everybody? Chat in for me. Okay, good. Excellent. Okay, so moving on. I'm going to just give you some more details on each of these types of job role, okay? Database managers and even lead scrubbers can work well for solos as well as teams. Appointment setters and full sales cycle ISAs typically are going to be better for teams than for solos. However, if you have a unique situation as a solo agent, you may consider hiring your own full ISA. And I'll talk about some of those situations here. But here's some more clarification or more information around each of these roles. So database manager, again, these are the roles of the database manager, where to get them. Indeed is just the easiest job board to use right now. Onlinejobs.ph, that's for the Philippines. That's the one that most people use. I know that there are other Southeast Asian countries that you can hire from. However, the Philippines has the most number of administratively trained people. And as far as I know, they have the best job board that's easy to use to find VAs. That's the best place to find them. Or you can also look on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn would be for South America or Latin America. I mean, obviously LinkedIn for the US too. But for database managers, you probably want to use offshore help, right? Philippines, South America, Latin America. You don't necessarily need to hire virtual assistants in the US because in the US it's more expensive. Okay, when to hire them? After you, and this is, I'm mostly talking kind of to solo agents here. After you have an admin who is handling your transactions for you, handling some of your marketing stuff for you, just doing general administrative work, then you could hire a database manager because database management is an administrative task. And so if you have an admin, your admin can just do this for you until you're ready to branch out. When you're doing enough transactions or you have enough or a complicated marketing system enough that you need more assistance, then you could diversify and have a database manager. And you have at least 1,000+ contacts in your database. I'm going to say it's more like 2 to 3,000 at least. And you have a full client load. What do I mean by full client load? You're busy out there every week showing houses to buyers. You're carrying some listings, and you're actively looking to get more. That's when you would use a database manager. How to find a good one? Absolute attention to detail is high, super high. No sales skill required, great communication skills, just internally, right? With you and with your staff. The reason that I make this clear is because a lot of times agents, team leaders get confused about what role should somebody be doing? What tasks should they be doing? And a lot of times they're going to blur the lines between administrative help and sales help. And again, if I can drive one point home to you, is that good admins don't make good salespeople. Good salespeople don't make good admins. Okay, what to expect? Once you make a hire, it's going to take maybe 30 to 60 days before they're just operating on their own for the most part. You will need some standard operating procedures for them as to how to work in your database and what to do, what they should be doing, and what it should look like. They will not convert leads for you. All the sales conversations and conversion is up to the agent. Okay, lead scrubbers. They use primarily written messaging and text emails to surface leads in the system. They can also, your lead scrubber can be your database manager also. They can do both jobs for you. It just depends on whether or not they have some kind of sales experience and whether or not they understand what the purpose of sales is. Again, where to get them: Indeed, online jobs, and LinkedIn. When to hire them: after you have an admin, and when I would say when you're receiving at least 30+ new leads per month. That's 1 lead per day, and you have a full client load. So you just use them to kind of surface the conversation. Man, I can't talk today. You use them to surface the conversations for you, to surface the reactions for you. How to find a good one? Again, definitely need attention to detail. They need some sales skill, some experience, some understanding of sales, and great communication skills. And I would say, I would add to this, maybe not language mastery, but very high degree of language understanding, awareness, and contextual understanding. I can't stress the contextual understanding enough, because here's what you can run into. When I see people using lead scrubbers, is they will give them a very simple script and they'll say, go read this. And people who are not native English speakers, and I'm just using English as the example, people who are not native English speakers can read the script because they know the words and they can pronounce them right, but they don't understand the meaning or the context of why they're using those words. And most importantly, whatever comes back from the prospect or the lead, which is never according to script, right? It's all over the place. They don't understand the contextual, what this person is saying or what they mean or why they mean it. That's the problem. So I'm going to talk more about hiring and screening as we go through this. But when you're screening somebody for sales, especially if they are not a native language speaker for your language, you want to test for contextual understanding. Say things multiple ways and see if they understand the underlying meaning of what you're saying. Ask them to explain things to you in multiple ways, because what you'll find out is if they can only explain things in one way in your language, it means they don't have a very deep contextual understanding. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, good. All right. Appointment setters, right? They will book phone or video consultations. They book meetings, they book nurtures. They are the setter, okay? I want to make one distinction about a setter. This is important. Setters have kind of a limited range of what they can do. Your setter is going to propose a meeting or propose an offer, and they may have a few easy objection handlers, but they aren't going to be a full-on salesperson that can really drive things home or really change people's minds. They're pretty much there to convert warmer leads into a next action for you and to potentially do some screening for quality, right? So let's put it in the context of my company. So we sell training, right? We are sales training experts, lead conversion experts. One of the most important qualifications of somebody who's going to get on a sales call with us is they can afford to invest in their businesses. So a setter in my company would reach out to a prospect who's consumed something, offer the next step or whatever is going to happen, like the 3-day masterclass I just talked about. If you don't know what I'm talking about, we're going to talk about it later and drop the link so you can get in. But anyway, our setters are going to reach out, talk to this prospect, and they're going to make sure that they can actually afford to come to the event. And they're going to ask them to sign up for the event. Once they go to the event, if we talk about anything further from there, let's say that somebody wants to get on and have a conversation about our boot camp. One of the first things that we're going to do to protect the salespeople is make sure that anybody interested in the boot camp has at least 2 qualifications. They believe they need to improve their sales scripting and dialogue skill to convert their leads, and they have money to invest in their businesses. If the answer is no to either one of those questions, it's not worth a conversation with the salesperson. Likewise, with appointment setters, this is where you're going to have somebody who is interested in real estate, does have questions about it, has questions about their home's value, or has questions about the buying process, or wants to talk about looking for a home, and this person would then tee them up with one of your agents. Okay, where to get them? Indeed and LinkedIn. In this case, with appointment setters, these are going to be ISAs, not VAs, okay? These people need to have language mastery, all right? So you're looking primarily in the US and Latin or South America for appointment setters. And this is important, when to hire them. So after you have an admin and you're receiving 60 plus new leads per month, full client load, and I would say a database of at least 3,000 people. And I made this point here. Your appointment setters are not full sales cycle ISAs. So your appointment setters need to have high intent inbound leads. This applies much more to teams. So let's say that you were a Zillow Flex team, or you are spending a lot of money on Realtor.com, or you have a really great direct mail campaign, or you're running TV ads, or you're doing billboards, you're doing lots of live events where you have lots of warm people who just need to get converted over to meeting with your agents. That's where you would use an appointment setter. How to find a good one. Again, attention to detail. They need direct sales experience, skill, and excellent communication and persuasion skills. And one thing I want to say about both appointment setters and ISAs, when it comes to experience, what you want to do when you're screening them is make sure that they have had some kind of direct selling experience, not just working at like retail stores, right? Not just working in a shoe store, not working in a clothing store, not being an order taker. You're not looking for order takers. What you're looking for is people who have direct selling experience where they ask the prospect to take an action or make a decision. That would be things like gym membership sales, car sales, any kind of door-to-door selling, right? Home services selling, those kind of things. And what to expect. Again, 30 to 60 days to autonomy. You're going to need SOPs for them to operate. And generally speaking, it's going to take you 3 to 6 months to get profitable on this position. They will convert your leads to buyer consults, showings, and listing appointments. But I want to make this point, with high intent only. So for instance, you're not going to use an appointment setter to try to call for sale by owners. Does that make sense? They're not going to call expireds. They're not going to circle prospect. They're not going to just call around listings. They're not going to do any of that kind of stuff because those are very low intent leads, or at least for sales conversations. In order to do things like that, you're going to need a full sales cycle ISA. You know what I should do is I should put the lead types on here that they can work. Full sales cycle ISA, this is a professional salesperson who just doesn't show houses, doesn't get contracts signed, and doesn't comp houses or write or negotiate offers. That's basically what this is. Does that make sense, everybody? Okay, good. You're going to find them on Indeed. You're going to find them on LinkedIn. You can get these people from South and Central America. Mostly, though, my experience has been the best people that I've found for full sales cycle ISAs are people in your local market, people who live in or near the market that you serve. Here's why. Even I've been talking about this whole language thing, but even beyond language mastery, I sell in Philadelphia. We have clients from Florida to Alaska, from Hawaii to New York, and everywhere in between, from Vancouver to what's on the other end? Not Toronto, wherever the French Canada, right? Montreal. We have clients across both of those countries. And here's what I can tell you is that in every market, in every neighborhood, in every local area, the people in that local area talk in certain ways. They have certain ways of saying things. They have accents. They have local phrases and terms for areas and people and events and all sorts of things, all kinds of nuances that if I had a team in Dallas and I was trying to use a VA or an ISA from Michigan, the ISA from Michigan is not going to talk like the people in Dallas, right? If I had a team in San Diego, Southern California, and an ISA from New York, the ISA from New York is not going to talk like the people from San Diego. You need when it comes to sales, sales is such a language. I mean, sales is language. You don't have anything else. That's all you have. The way you talk, the way you sound, the way that you emulate, the way you understand the person you're interacting with. So for a full sales cycle ISA, which is the most expensive way to go and the most productive way to go, the best thing to do is people in your local market who talk like the people in your local market. Okay. And in order to do that, you're going to be running your ads on LinkedIn and Indeed. And I'm going to talk more about the recruiting process and what it costs. When to hire them. Obviously, you have a full administrative staff, people handling your marketing, handling your transactions. You're receiving at least 60 plus new leads per month, full client load, database of at least 5,000 people. You need a big database to feed this role. And if you are a team leader, my criteria is that you have at least 3 producing agents on your team. You have both inbound as well as outbound lead sources, unless your inbound is just overwhelmingly big, in which case you don't need the outbound. But the reason I wrote this here is you do not try to hire an ISA, to only run outbound leads. It doesn't work that way. They need a mix of inbound and outbound. So the only caveat to that, or the only exception to that, is if your team is already working a huge amount of outbound, like you guys are outbound experts and you have tons of it that you can work and you can effectively teach somebody how to do it. Otherwise, you got to have inbound and outbound. Okay. And I will make this note also, if you are a team leader or even a solo, if you want somebody to work outbound leads for you, you or somebody on your team better have experience and knowledge about how to work outbound leads. If you don't, you won't be able to teach that person to do it. You won't be able to get them to do it unless they are just a crazy exceptional hire, if that makes sense. Somebody on your team needs to know how to do it. Somebody on your team needs to have the experience. So here's an example. When I built those inside sales team for our big team, our big KW top 5 mega team, I personally had the experience of many years of working outbound leads, successfully converting strangers into listing appointments and listing appointments into listings. Me personally, and I taught them how to do it. And what I actually found, this is kind of a side note, the funny thing is, I worked it, I taught my ISAs how to do it, and I very quickly discovered that certain agents on the team couldn't go and close those appointments. Only the agents who already had experience of working cold prospects and working strangers could receive an appointment from an ISA for a FSBO or expired or whatever and actually go close it. So that's the degree of difficulty. Not that you can't do it. The point is, like, if you're, if an agent who's just kind of like has only worked, warm referrals and a nice, lovely sphere, they don't necessarily have the chops yet to go and close stranger business, and they would have to learn it. Okay. Full ISA for 5K or more leads, appointment setter, 3K high intent, 3K plus leads that are colder, such as Facebook or PPC. Okay. 3K leads that are colder, such as Facebook or PPC. With that one, Julio, I would say either a database manager or a lead scrubber if you're getting a lot coming in. I'm going to talk about when to hire ISAs are you a solo, Julio, or are you a team? I'm moving on as he's typing that in. How to find a good one. You need sales skill off the chart, right? Experience. They must have a lot of experience, excellent communication and persuasion skills, and a verifiable track record of success. This is important. Verifiable track record of success. The 2 positions that are hardest to hire, in my experience, marketing and sales. Do you know why? Chat in for me. Why would marketing and sales be the hardest roles to hire for? Take a guess. Chat it in. Nobody's chatting in. Here's why. Personal business, you need to see them in action. I don't know about that, Drew. Here's the reason that I've found that marketing and sales are the hardest to hire, because they are professional bullshitters. Okay? If they can't at least bullshit their way into a job, they probably aren't in marketing or sales at all. And just because they can talk their way into a sales role doesn't mean they're actually good, or doesn't mean they're going to do the job. So this is the reason that I've found that marketing and sales are the hardest to hire. That's why I'm saying when you're hiring a salesperson, has to be verifiable track record of success. And I'm going to talk about screening if I have time, because I'm running out of time. But you're going to have to really test them and make sure they're going to do what they said they're going to do, and that they're going to have the results. Okay. VA to ISA cost range. So let's talk about this real quick. For domestic US-based native English speaker, part-time is going to cost you $15 to $25 an hour. Full-time is going to cost you anywhere from $2,500 a month, which would be your database managers, your lead scrubbers, up to $6,000 a month for a full sales cycle ISA. So on average right now, we're paying $5K a month as a base pay for an ISA, full sales cycle ISA. Best sales results are going with domestic. Now, you can use domestic for VAs, but I think that it's overkill, where you can get really great VAs in other countries for a lot cheaper. But it's the only way I would suggest that you go for full sales cycle ISA. South America, Central America, you can get a high degree of English. Takes a little more searching, a little more, sifting of people, because there are a lot of people with decent English skills, but one is, do they have sales skill and ability? Two, how deep is their contextual understanding of the language? Part-time is going to be $7 to $14 an hour. Full-time, somewhere between $12 to $3,000 base per month. You can get good sales results here. And I really like South and Central America, both for virtual assistants as well as inside sales. For me, the reason is that I prefer them more for VAs. I will consider them for inside sales, especially for like a lead scrubber. But the reason that I like it so much is because it falls in line with our time zones, right? Southeast Asia is the opposite time zone. These people are working overnight, which makes it hard for them. And so quality slips, things like that, attention to detail can slip as well. And not only that, but I don't feel bad about having someone in the Americas available to me during my working hours. I feel kind of bad having somebody in Southeast Asia available to me during my working hours. So Philippines, I just go with Philippines because I know the recruiting process, and there's tons of great people who already have experience that you can hire from. You're looking for the best English that you can get. It takes a lot of filtering, a lot of screening, and I've found that you can get very good English skill, but the biggest issue is the contextual understanding of the language. So I do not use people from Southeast Asia for sales roles. I use them for administrative roles. They're fantastic for that. Costs are going to be part-time $4 to $8 per hour, full-time $800 to $1,500 per month. And yeah, we already talked about where you can find them to hire them, but that's basic what you're looking at there. When you need an ISA, a VA as a solo agent, you have a few thousand leads in your database. And again, this is VA. You're already aggressive about working your leads, cold prospecting, or you have a large sphere. You're already producing 2 to 3 million in sales volume, just as a kind of a metric. You have a CRM that you have a process for working in that you can teach to somebody. You have a transaction or marketing assistant already, and you can easily invest $1,000 per month for 6 months as you're getting it sorted out. You can dedicate at least 3 hours per week to the VA for the first 30 days. And I'm going to suggest that you're going to need a minimum of an hour a week after that. When you need an ISA as a solo agent, you have too many new leads to work yourself. At minimum, you're getting 30 new leads per month. You're already aggressive about working your leads, cold prospecting, and have a large sphere. You already work and close stranger business. This is one big caveat. Either you need to have a massive sphere of influence that is just throwing off appointments left and right that you need help managing. If not, you're going to be mixing in stranger business, which is paid leads, FSBOs, expireds, etc. but you need to have the experience of already working those things. You're already producing 5 million in sales volume. You have a CRM you can teach, full-time transaction coordination and marketing support. You can easily invest $5,000 per month for at least 6 months because it's going to take that long for you to break even usually. You can dedicate at least 5 hours per week with the ISA for the first 30 days and 2 to 3 hours a week after that. When you need an ISA as a team leader, Drew, this is for you. Your agents are all too busy on appointments to follow up with leads. This is important. Not because they don't want to, because they can't, because they're on appointments. You have a team culture of consistency around lead gen and follow-up. You have a minimum of 3 full-time producing agents on your team, and your 3 agents know how to close stranger business for contracts. CRM, full-time assistant, 5K, dedicate at least 5 hours per week with the ISA and 2 to 3 hours per week after that. Okay, let's see. We are running out of time. I'm going to just tell you guys real quick again about the upcoming 3-day. Actually, let's do this. Any questions? What did I not cover that you guys have questions about? Chat it in for me. Any questions? Okay, while you're doing that, I'm going to answer these FAQs just real quick. In my experience, people are like, oh, there's these done for you ISA companies. They have ISAs. They'll work my leads for me. They'll book appointments for me or do whatever. Or there's a company that wants to hire ISAs for me. In those cases, I'm going to take that one off the list. But either hiring ISAs for you or giving you one of their ISAs and they're going to work your leads for you as a third-party external company, meaning they are not the lead provider. You're getting leads from whatever sources. You have you and your lead provider is your way of getting leads. And then this third-party company that's going to come and work your leads for you. Here's what I've seen. And I've been doing this for a very long time. And I've coached and mentored and consulted with, I can't tell you how many teams, brokerages, generally speaking, done for you ISA companies. The best that anybody does is break even, meaning they don't make money on using them. So between what they pay and the results that they get, the closings that come from it, best they do is break even. In a lot of cases, they just lose money. It costs money to pay these people to work the leads, and they don't produce anything more than what it costs to have them. That's the general experience. So I'm just telling you guys that. Hiring for you ISA companies, you know, we teach people how to hire for themselves. And here's why. The most important thing is that hiring a full sales cycle ISA is a very hard thing to do. There are very few people that can do it really well with our unique industry where the majority of our leads are not high intent leads. And so in order to find somebody who has the right mixture of skill set, who doesn't charge an arm and a leg, who doesn't want multiple 6 figures to come sell for you, you know, to find that perfect Venn diagram of somebody takes a lot of knowledge, a lot of skill, a lot of practice. And then even after you know the things that I know, even after you do the techniques that I do, you're still going to have a 50-50 shot that you make the right hire. So somebody who wants you to pay them to hire for you, the likelihood it's going to work out is very low. And you're going to have to go back to them again, over and over again to get them to give you multiple hires. And you're going to waste a lot of time. It's better for you to learn how to do it yourself, hire yourself, and learn how to fire quickly, and then have the skill set to go and do it again. That's what you need. That's the best case scenario. Okay. And then ISA services from lead providers. I haven't personally used them, but I can give you an example. You know, Zillow does this. Right? That's what Zillow Flex is. Zillow Flex has a whole inside sales team that tees up these conversations, finds people who want to go see a house, connects them to an agent, and charges an arm and a leg for it. That's how it works. So a lot of these lead providers are getting into the game of providing an ISA service on their own lead sources. So there's a higher degree of control that they have internally, and I've heard much better results from my clients who've used these ISA services within the lead provider who is giving them leads. So I'd say try it out. Let's see. Okay. where are we at here? Let me run down here. I'm just going to give you this real quick. I know I got 5 more minutes, and then I'm going to tell you guys about the masterclass that you should come join me on if you are struggling with converting your things. Let's see. Video. Here's how you're going to screen people. Get everybody to send you a video application. When I'm hiring for a sales role, I get hundreds of resumes coming in, and I get them to shoot a video of themselves and send it to me. The way I do that is I shoot a video of myself, and then I give them the link to go and watch it. Obviously, I don't shoot a video for every person. I shoot one video talking about the role, explaining it, answering all the questions I would have, and then ask them to answer a few questions for me in a video back to me. That's the most effective way that I've found. They shoot it back to you, helps you sort people. Then I do a structured role play. This is for ISAs, not VAs. But if you were going to be testing English skill, you could test your VA as well. Then we have them do a skill assessment. And there's lots of different sources like Test Dome, or Test Gorilla, where you can have them do like an administrative exam. You're looking for attention to detail. I use it for everybody. For my VAs, I have a higher degree, or it's harder. The attention to detail thing is harder. For sales, the attention to detail is not as hard, but everybody has to fill one out. Then for ISAs, I'm going to have them do a live calling session. I basically give them a stack of old leads on a recorded line, and they go through it so that I can hear how they sound and whether or not they're able to actually book an appointment. Then we do final interviews. And as I said, even if you do everything I tell you for hiring ISAs, you're going to have a 50-50 shot at getting the right hire. So because of that, when I hire an ISA, I usually hire at least 2 because I know that I'm going to have to let at least one of them go. It's just a reality of how it works. Okay. Training. Let's get down to the unscripted system. So again, we're doing a 3-day live training around the unscripted system, which is, this is how I train ISAs. This is how I train agents. This is what we work on with salespeople, which is the specific scripting messaging skill set where we teach a salesperson how to be unscripted, how to, on the fly, powerfully get into a conversation, keep the prospect in the conversation, overcome their objections, articulate their value, close for appointments, and get a much higher win rate than what you're getting right now. Also, within that is, how do you convert these leads to a high degree? How do you set yourself up? What processes do you follow? How do you follow up with them? How do you message them to get them to respond to you? What do you say? How do you position it? How do you get these appointments? That is our unscripted lead conversion training system. And we are doing a 3-day training where we're going to be working on intros, objection handling, value prop, closing, written messaging, and everything else that goes along with it. And that's going to be October 27, 28, 29, 2 hours per day on Zoom. And I didn't put on here the time of day. It's 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. The 27, 28, 29th, $97 for general admission. You can buy the slides if you're not sure if you can show up all 3 days, or if you're not sure you can make it all 6 hours. You can buy the recordings and slides so that you can review them later. And you go here, smartsalescoaching.com/masterclass, or you can just scan this QR code if you want to come join me. More details are on that landing page right there. Basically, what I would say is, if you're struggling with getting your prospects to answer, getting them to stay in the conversation with you, knowing what to say to them, overcoming things like, I have an agent, I'm waiting for X, or I'm not ready, you want to come to this class. If you have difficulty winning business or keeping business with people going to work with other agents, or the agent they saw on a billboard, or the agent who has signs in their neighborhood, or whatever it is, we're going to work on your value propositions, why somebody should work with you, why they should choose you. If you have trouble getting face-to-face with people, if buyers are saying, I'm not ready, if sellers are saying, I'm not ready, we're going to work on your closing, how you close for an appointment, how you set it up, how you describe to them what it's going to be and what they're going to get from it. That's what we're going to be working on in this masterclass. So basically, a lot of students that come through our training and learn our systems, the reason it's called unscripted is because the agents are like, oh my God, I just know what to say. I don't have to think of what to say. I don't have to follow any scripts that don't work anyway, that break whenever the prospect doesn't say what I need them to say. I'm never confused about what to say or how to talk to somebody. That's the feedback, the testimonials that our students give. So it's the unscripted lead conversion system. Come and learn that with us, October 27, 28, 29. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining me today. Let's see. I don't see any other questions in the chat, but great having you here. Hopefully you guys took something from this. If you have more questions, you can hit me up, Dale@smartsalescoaching.com. Jeannie, why don't you drop that email address in there? I strongly encourage you to come to the unscripted class. If you're struggling to get appointments, if you're struggling to convert your leads, start with you first. We can help you fix that. It's what you're going to need anyway, because to hire somebody else to do it for you is just going to cost you more money and more time. And if you're not successful at doing it now, you're not going to be able to teach them. All right. Great seeing everybody.